Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another episode of B is for Build. We're here working on the R34, R35 swap, the R69 GT-R. So if you guys don't know, if you're new to this, we took an R35 GT-R and we cut the entire body off of it, and then we took an R34 GT-R and cut the entire under part out of it, and then we put the R34 on the R35. And we have what you see here today that looks just like an R34. But we have all R35 powertrains, so that's engine, transaxle, drive shafts, suspension, all the good stuff. So in today's episode, we're gonna focus on two main things. One is we have a bunch of wheels from our sponsor Koenig Wheels to test out and see how they look on the build and see if we wanna switch to any of those other wheel sets and get opinions from you guys on what you think about them. And then also, the other one is we're gonna try and get this thing running for the first time. Now we tried our first startup and it kind of puttered around and it wanted to start, but we think it didn't have the right tune on it for the injectors. So this time we're gonna dive deep into the engine stuff, the tune, everything that we need to do to get this thing running for the first time. Stay tuned. First thing we got to do today, finish what we didn't finish in the last episode, and that's wrapping up the back end. Very nice, all finished. So this is our filler piece right here. It's part of the body kit that flushes out the wide body kit. And then we got the add-ons that go down here. These will eventually be wrapped in a gloss black, same with the side skirts and the front lip. But that's the end, that's the finishing touch on the rear bumper. Let's move on to the engine side of the world. So Oscar's been working on this front end quite a bit. I'm gonna let him do all of the little finishing touches on it. But if you haven't seen, we've custom air intakes that we've done. They clearly need to be tightened down a little bit and plugged in. We've got our custom mounted power steering reservoir right there, coolant right here, coolant reservoir tank, and then so we're gonna run coolant lines. Basically everything just needs to be buttoned up. Oh, we gotta also get our serpentine belt right down there. So everything kind of just needs to be buttoned up, but all the heavy fabrication work and everything is done to make this an R35/R34 engine bay. So we're gonna let Oscar get to that, while me and Kyle jump back into the dashboard, the nemesis of any body swap project. Dashboard right now is a little bit wide. We're going to trim the sides of it a little bit, and then we're actually going to start the final installation of this dashboard. Alright guys, engine bay is all wrapped up. Everything's got fluids. We're full of coolant, power steering fluid, a little bit of air conditioning charged up. We're good to go. You can see there's a hose running out of here. We're looking at some valve cover breather stuff to try and figure out what has vacuum and what doesn't. So that hose is a little bit of a test. Nothing to worry about. If we have a giant vacuum leak, we'll know why. And on the interior, Kyle's got us dialed in. So we've got all the modules plugged in. Last time we went to start this vehicle, having all the modules plugged in is important. Does anybody know where the key is for this thing? Okay, Kyle knows.
I found it during the install.
Oh, okay, we found it, okay. So that is all good. We've got all the interior modules in here and that's looking great. On the last video, I read all of your guys' comments about the wing. I like the style of this wing. I really don't like the style of the stock GT-R wing because I don't think it's wide enough. I don't think it's large enough. I really like the style of this wing. Ari Yamamiya makes basically this exact wing. It's probably a replica of that. But I did hear what you guys were saying about the depth, how we kind of put it in the middle of the trunk, and a lot of you guys would like to see it back further. I did look at a lot of R34s online for reference, and yes, they're usually mounted at the very back. So we're gonna go ahead now and move this. So we do have two holes in here, so we're gonna move it back as far as we can without exposing any of the carbon fiber holes, because I'm not gonna do that. So we're gonna make some adjustments, drill some new holes, slide this thing back. I think we got a good 2.5 inches we can move it. right, guys, we got the wing slid back a little bit, so I didn't want to expose any of the holes. So there's a hole, like the old hole is like right there, but you can see it's clearly biased towards the back now. And if you look at where the wing ends, it ends a little bit further than the trunk lid, but not further than the rear bumper. That was kind of what I was always just lining up with. And you know, because I haven't seen any GT-R wings that sit so far back. They're further back than the rear bumper. So I think that's a good look. It's a happy medium, and I'm still happy with how it looks. While we're on the subject of aesthetically changing things around, Koenig sent us 6 wheels. I think it's 3 sets of 2 of wheels to test out to see how they look and how we like them on the car. The offset is more aggressive, so we don't even know if we're going to be able to run them. Some sizes, we're not sure if they're going to clear the brake calipers, but we're going to test them all out. They were kind enough to send them all our way, so we're going to go ahead and grab all those and throw the first set on. All right, so I thought we were getting 3 different wheels, but it looks like we got 4 of the bronze. That's in an 18 with a more aggressive offset, and then we got 2 of these hyper chromes to try out in 2 different widths. So one is a 10 or a 10 and a half, and the other should be a 9.5. The one thing you guys got to realize, the reason why our wheels are so specific and we work so hard to get this right, is that the R35 that's underneath this R34 is a lot wider than an R34, like a lot wider. So we went from a GTT to then a GT-R is even wider, and then we went even wider than a GT-R with this wide body kit, and we're still having to run extremely high offset wheels to try and basically sink the wheel into the car to be able to tuck into the body panels. So that's why we're struggling with this. It's not like I can just pick any wheel off the shelf because very few wheels fit this car. So we're gonna go ahead and try this bronze one first on the front end. This is an 18, and only very specific 18-inch wheels will clear the massive brake calipers on the front. But if this does fit on, then I think we can make it work on the car. So let's give this a shot. To our surprise, the bronze 18-inch wheel actually did fit and clear the brake caliper, just barely. We've shaved this brake caliper down a little bit to test with other 18s before, so that just barely fits. Problem is that this is a 25 offset wheel, that is a 35 offset wheel, so that's a 10mm difference, and what that does is that sticks the wheel out, and you can see if we look straight down, the wheel is way past our wide body kit, and you guys already didn't like the stretch tires. We'd be in really stretch tire territory to try and run this at all if we were going to run it. So I just don't think it's going to fit with a wide body. I think we're going to constantly be rubbing and having problems. So now we're going to go ahead and try the hyper chrome wheels out. All right, Hyperchrome Countergram wheels. These look very good. This is the B profile, that's the A profile. This is a little bit wider, but as you get wider, you can change your offsets around. Unfortunately, we still got the same problem with the offset. That front one is a 25 offset. We were running a 30, and that got us enough space, but when we look at the 25, it is out too much when we try and get level with the car. If we compress the suspension, which we have tested, it's not changing the camber much, definitely not enough to tuck. So I love this wheel though. I really like the look of this wheel, so I think you'll be seeing this in the future. We're gonna put this on some sort of a build. Yeah, we've been talking about different cars around the shop to get some of these for. So these are dope, and they go up to 19 by 11 if you need some really wide boys. Maybe we put those on our Lemons car, just go super wide so we can go really sticky. Yeah, okay. So Koenig, we're gonna need 4 more of these. I do want to thank Koenig and Nitto, our wheel and tire guys. They watch the show, they read your guys' comments, they listen to my opinion as well, and we're always trying to find out what fits best. This car is really challenging when we take an R35 GT-R that is like 6 inches wider than an R34 GT-R and try and make it all work. You have to have some compromises in some places, and this really high offset wheel, positive 35 offset wheel, is how you're going to be able to make that work. So we tried a bunch of different options. I've always liked the black with the machine lip, but I was with you guys on the stretch tire was not a good look. And I talked with Nitto, and they're super down to send us some wider tires to run, and I'm really hoping that they won't rub too bad and it'll be okay. I think it's going to be just fine. I wanted to start with the stretch one because I was trying to get it right on the first time and be conservative, but I agree with you guys, I really don't like the look. But I think you will agree with me, it's going to look good when we have a full-size tire on there with more meat and more sidewall on the black with machine lip countergram. So huge thanks to both of those guys for supporting us and just being so cool through this whole process. Links in the description. Koenig, Nitto, you know we love you. Thank you so much. Okay, Moving on to getting this thing to start. Since the front valance area is so large on the R34, to moving over to the R35, we lost our space for our battery, so we're gonna do a remote mount battery kit. Basically, we're gonna run this positive terminal down under the car, through the trans tunnel, all the way back into the trunk, where we will mount our battery in the trunk. You can find these kits really, really inexpensively on eBay. A lot of people do it for performance, to get the weight in the back of their car if you have a front weighted car. So it's also cool to not have, well, yeah, you want a firewall between you and the battery, but anyways, yeah, so we're gonna get our battery mounted and our power all mounted back there. Got battery. So we ran the cable through the interior rather than the exterior. It's safer to do. We didn't know if we were going to be able to do that, but we were able to do that. So it's a lot safer, because underneath here you think you got a fuel tank, you got axles, you know, whipping around, transmission things and exhaust that heats up. Be a lot safer to go this way. We are going to get an inline fuse. If you do a battery relocation kit, it's going to be real smart to have a big inline fuse right about here. So we'll get one of those eventually, but for now we want to test this out. So we got power. Ground just goes to the ground. The stock ground is in the front too as well, grounded out, so everything should be fine that way. So now we get to go ahead and power it on, see how it goes. All right, we got power on to the car. We see like this is lighting up. We're gonna go ahead and throw our key in, and all of this stuff is lit up as well. Okay, so luckily our gear is matching up with our gear shifter, so we're gonna park. It won't let me go into reverse because I don't have my foot on the brake, but we should tighten this down. Guys, grab me it's like a 12 mil. All right, since our shifter was matching up with the computer, I just tightened it down real good. So if I put my foot on the brake, we should be able to go through some gears. Let me see if I could. We could have put some seats in here, would have made things easier, but you know. Well, we definitely need to bleed the brakes. All right, so now reverse is matching up, neutral, good. This is probably very boring to watch, but an automatic one, gear select. Okay, good, automatic manual gear select. Perfect. Our shifter is calibrated to what the car wants it to be as far as where it's in gear. I think we should be able to start it now.
I think we're ready.
Didn't this thing like explode really loud last time we tried to start it?
Yeah, it sent big fireballs.
Yeah, that was scary. So we're gonna go ahead and give it a shot.
Oh my god!
All right, we're gonna go ahead and try and start it up. We don't think this is gonna work. We believe this car was tuned for bigger injectors. We've got stock injectors in there right now. So the idea is that the injector pulse would be in such a way, programmed in such a way that we wouldn't be getting enough fuel probably to even idle. So we'll give it a shot and see if it runs, but it's probably not going to. I'm expecting that we're gonna need to retune this, which is why we have a tuner.
Same results.
Yeah, same results. Okay, we're gonna retune this thing. Okay, we unboxed our tuner. So this is the Cobb access port. Cobb was kind enough to send this out for us on this build to have, so huge thanks to them. We're gonna put a link in the description. I have one of these for my other GT-R. They are amazing. So it says right here that the maps are preloaded onto this device, so I can pretty much guarantee that they're gonna put the stock map on here. So I know that, and that's what we're really trying to get on here to start with, is we wanna get the stock map on here and make sure we can get it running well. So we're just gonna go ahead and plug it in. OBD2 port plugs into the bottom of this guy, and we should be able to flash it. Super simple connection. We just run the Cobb to the OBD2 port, which ours happens to be hanging down right there because we haven't finished installing it, and then put the car into the on position without starting the engine. And from here, I'm gonna be able to tune it. I've already done this before on film. I'm just gonna go ahead and run through it real quick, set it back to stock tune, and we'll see if it starts. All right, guys, so when I last talked to you, we were gonna flash the car and flash a new tune on there with the Cobb access port. It's 3 days later. We've been troubleshooting so many things. We couldn't get the flash to go on. And the guys at Cobb were really kind to help us through all the technical aspects of what it could have been. And they said the most likely thing is that your ECU has another flash on there from another tuning company, and we can't overwrite it, and that's why we're having problems. So I called Eric over here from PRE. They're a local tuning performance shop that's not too far away, and they're an ECU tech dealer. So he was kind enough to come out here on the weekend and help us out. He plugged into the car just now and was able to confirm that this had an ECU tech tune on it. So This is a really weird thing where most people, you buy a car from somebody, even if you buy it used, you could ask that person, hey, how did you tune this car? Can I have the dongle, etc., etc. If you buy a car at auction and it's total mystery and you've never met the owner, this could be a problem you run into. And this could have been a really huge problem if it wasn't tuned on ECU tag. Say it was some other more obscure third-party tune, we would have never found out where that tune was from. And we would have probably, we know it was tuned for bigger injectors, and we probably would have been guessing, checking, buying a bunch of injectors until the car ran right, which sounds like a nightmare. So other than that, you have to buy a new ECU and hope the dealership will work with you. And if you show up in an R34 that's really an R35, the dealership's probably not going to be very happy. So what we're going to do now is kind of boring computer stuff, but we're going to pull the ECU Tech tune off of this car, which should put it back to stock, which is what we were going to use the Cobb access port to do anyways. But the car's, I'm pretty confident, going to run just fine as soon as we get back to a stock tune. And then we'll probably use the Cobb access port to tune it for our upgrades like our performance exhaust and our air intakes. Success! We got the ECU Tech tune off of the car. We applied the Cobb Stage 1 tune and I think a Stage 2 to the transmission. It's going to change shift points a little bit for us. If you guys don't know, the stock transmission shift points on this car are a little undesirable, so it's really nice to buy the Cobb tune and it'll change it up a little bit and make it a little bit easier for daily driving. So we should be good to go. We should be able to start up now, and yeah, this is going to be our first time starting and running this thing. Hopefully it'll run well. I think it's going to do just fine. Here I go, starting the car in park. Alright, it's probably just getting used to its new injectors. There we go. Alright, stop. We're getting there.
Yep.
Doesn't sound as knocky.
The
oil?
Yeah, the cooler wouldn't tighten down.
Small oil problem. Best Cletus impression. So what you got right there is a oil-cooled AC condenser. So Oscar, you gotta tighten those down when you install them, you know?
You gotta forget something.
So we bought this oil cooler kit off of eBay, and to be fair, well, I bought like the cheapest one, and the lines were garbage, so we redid the ends with better AN fittings, and when we did that, we just forgot to tighten them down. So I'll check underneath on the other side, make sure those are tight, and we should be good to go to do another startup.
That's unhappy.
Why is it being a bitch again? So to bring you along with this troubleshooting experience, the computer one was a lot less fun. The exhaust smells very rich, so we think we're getting more fuel than air. Again, it's air, fuel, spark, lube, the things you need to make an engine run. We've checked the oil, we're good there. We haven't checked the spark, so that's something we could look into. Air and fuel are what we're kind of troubleshooting now. The throttle body allows air to get into the engine. It's right here. In the wreck, it looked like part of the hood or something hit this plug, and it's a little bit damaged, but it looked like it was gonna work just fine. We got it plugged in fully and everything's seated, but we are throwing an air with the throttle body, so in the ECU, so we think, I'm not sure which one's bank 1 and bank 2. I don't know if it goes left to right.
Furthest forward is usually bank 1.
But
it looks like bank 1.
So we'll probably look that up online and figure out which one is bank 1, but we're assuming it's this one. And so what we're gonna do is watch the throttle body blades open up when we're trying to do this stuff and see what happens. Okay, we topped off the oil just to be safe. Lubrication was number 4. And now Oscar's gonna watch. When it was like kind of rumbling to a start, this throttle body had a bit of a flutter to it. It seemed to be moving. So now he's gonna check the other one, make sure that that's moving too.
It's moving.
All right, so we got the throttle body to stop throwing code, so it's not the throttle body. And we basically, our first check and walkthrough that we did was air. We were looking at air, we were making sure the throttle bodies were opening. It does look like the vehicle is metering and getting air okay. So now we're gonna, so air, fuel, spark, lube, we're Lube's okay too, we checked that. So spark and fuel are the last two, but since it is kind of popping and kicking over a little bit, we're gonna do spark for last. So we're really focusing on fuel. All the fueling in a car is usually around and under the intake manifold because that's where the air mixes with the fuel. So we popped off this intake manifold before to switch out our injectors or repair our injectors. We're gonna do that once again and just start looking around, get more familiar with the fuel system and see if we can see anything that looks off or anywhere we might be able to diagnose, troubleshoot. Like we're gonna, since those injectors are completely unknown to us, we're gonna check the part numbers on the injectors, make sure that they're the right size, that a stock injector should be, and anything else we can look at and gain more knowledge on about the fuel system. The other thing is we don't know what type of fuel was in this car. This could have been an E85 car, so we could have nearly year-old, probably not a year, I don't think this car's at auction for that long, maybe 8-9 month old E85 that was in this tank, and then we mixed in 5 gallons of premium. That could be a problem too. That could be a big problem. So I want to eliminate those two things somehow if we can. We popped the intake manifold off. Everything looks good in here. All the fuel lines look as we would expect. We did see fuel is getting into the cylinders here. So we're thinking that's good. So we're going back to, do we have bad fuel? That's the question. So we've opened up that side. We tried to open up this side, but it's like spilling out fuel. So we've opened up that side. What we got going on here is a inline fuel pump. So these are fuel safe and fuel lines. This is off of our boat engine setup. And we're gonna go ahead and put that to power and use this to drain this whole car of all the fuel that's in it. And then we're gonna put in, we just got 5 gallons of premium. That should help, I think. Well, at least it'll help us diagnose and make sure that we have good fuel. So we're gonna go ahead and drain all our bad fuel into these jugs. Hi guys, it's the next day. We had to let those gas vapors kind of clear out of the shop a little bit, so it's plenty safe to start now. Really hoping this one works. Hoping our troubleshooting worked. Let's give it a go. It's really cold in the shop this morning, so this is gonna be like a cold start, if it starts. I'm gonna prime the motor a couple times because we, well, I guess we didn't take the fuel system off. No. That's true, just the intake manifold. So that's enough of that. There may be some crap in the injector lines, but that'll flush out quick.
Not even trying this time.
It's the coldness.
Oh, it's starting to.
Yeah, I'm hoping we get the crap fuel out. Come on, baby, I know you want to start. Damn, one more try. It's getting closer and closer.
Yeah. Whoa.
If it keeps getting better, I don't see why to stop. Warm this thing up, let it get up to temperature, and check how our coolant system's working out. That can give you some revs. Hi guys, the car's still running great. It's a couple minutes later. The cooling system has worked its way up to temp. So we're gonna give it some revs and see how our custom exhaust sounds. Pretty good. That's really good. I like it. It's not too loud that it's like super obnoxious, but you can hear it, you can tell the tone, and it's got a nice good rumble to it. I'm happy. Good job, Oscar. So now we are just going to monitor the cooling system and make sure as it comes up to temperature that the cooling system is acting the way we want, because it's all custom built. We need to make sure it responds the way we think it will. Not super exciting stuff, and a lot of exhaust fumes. All right, guys, car is running great. The cooling system is operating the way we expected to. This is really good news. I got some other good news for you guys. I had to go do a PET scan, which like looks for tumors in my body. I did that like last week. I got my results back today, and I do not have any tumors in my body, which means that my cancer isn't getting any worse. To put it in simple terms, that means that I could be cured. We don't know that yet, but it definitely means that it's not getting any worse yet. So something to be very, very thankful for. You know, with this whole thing, it's like I share the bad news if we get bad news, and that's always a bummer, but when we get any bit of good news, I also share that and we celebrate that. So this has been a really great day because, you know, car started up and I'm doing good. So that's it for this episode. In the next episode, we're taking this thing for its first test drive. I hope you join us then. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. I appreciate you guys so much for all the support. We'll see you on the next one. Peace!
Come on.